the G.
Salute, Nick family. Welcome to Nothing But Knicks channel, the Queen's Court. I'm your host, Stephanie from Dope Soul Sports Talk in my weekly spot. I'm on the Nothing But Knicks channel where it all started. Happy to be back here every week to chill out with my NBK crew. We got a lot to talk about this week. The Knicks went 0-3 last week. Nobody expected that. I don't even think anybody in the chat expected that. So we'll talk about that, what we think is wrong with the Knicks, what we have to do to get back on track. We're playing the Houston Rockets tonight, who've won, I believe, just 18 games. But when you're not playing well, no game is an easy game. I'm not sure if it's been reported whether or not Brunson is playing tonight, but if the Knicks can't beat Houston without Brunson, we really got problems. So we'll talk about Brunson as well. We'll talk about the job quickly we'll have to do down the stretch if Brunson won't be available. I guess we'll talk a little bit about Randall. I'm kind of tired. I thought, look at this. I'm just falling apart here. I thought
like the
that
Knicks.
like the Knicks. I'm falling apart like the Knicks. I thought, the Randall thing we've been talking about it so much. It happened the last game. You couldn't tell me it didn't happen like 10 days ago, So I guess it's a weekly show. I guess we have to spend a little bit of time on it. I want to talk about RJ Barrett. He was a focus of ours last week. Other than the Orlando game, he used to roll along, pretty efficient, taking 13, 14 shots a game. Anyway, let me bring in my two guys while I fix my background. Fellas, how you doing? And shout out to the chat, by the way.
Peace, Queen. Shout out DJ Shuttle. Ill Blackest Time. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Sim. We here.
Yeah, shout out to Sim, who created the channel. Forever grateful. Listen,
all
let's
aboard Queen's Court. All aboard Queen's Court. DJ Shuttle, we here.
Yeah. DJ Shuttle, obviously, he's a DJ. So he sent me the link because y'all know my condition. He tells me about 106 Soul every Friday, 8 to 10, I believe it is, if I'm not mistaken. And
108 Soul. 108 Soul.
108 Soul. All right. Okay. I got it a little wrong. And I forget to tune in. And so this time he sent me the link right before he went on playing the 80s joints. And I had a great time. Obviously, I had to cut it short because we went at 9:30 on the Just Nick and His show. But good job, DJ Shadow. I might have to hire you out. I don't know. I gotta think about that.
Listen, I know some people got DJ in front of their name. They don't really play. They don't really play like that. You know what I'm saying? But I really play like that.
Yes, you did our draft party as well, so we already know how you get down.
Looking forward to that. Actually, that was on my mind this weekend. Yes. I have an event coming up in Atlantic City in a couple of weeks. I'm gonna be playing a conference for a week, and so it had me thinking about the draft. And even though I'm locked in on the playoffs, I can't help but look at this Mavericks pick. That's like, that's heavy on my heart. So,
right,
I'm draft day focused. I'm playoff focused. Let's get it in.
Yeah, and I think I'm just getting a little spoiled. The Knicks have only went to the playoffs one time in the last 10 years, and already I like, can we just move on to the playoffs already? We got like 7 games, 7 games left. I hope that's not the mindset the Knicks have. Like, we got to close out, these last few games. But anyway, let me get into this real quick, and then while you guys are giving your opinion, I'm gonna fix my background like Tibbs and the coaching staff is fixing the Knicks.
And two playoffs and one series.
Okay.
In 10 years.
Okay. All right.
You know what I mean? But yeah,
Appreciate
still not good.
Right. All right. So last week the Knicks were 42-30. We lost 3 games. So right now we're 42-33. We're still fifth in the Eastern Conference, 4-6 over our last 10, having lost 3 games. We're now 15th in offensive rating, right? That's a big jump from six. But if you look at the points, two less points per game. We're 19th in defensive rating, and in net rating, we're 17th. So we're giving up more points than we're scoring, at least over the last 10, um, 10 games. And we lost to Minnesota, we lost to Miami, we lost to Orlando. And we remember the Minnesota game. Obviously, they didn't have Carl Anthony Towns, who was out most of the season. Anthony Edwards didn't play, and Prince just lit us up. I think he was 8 for 8 or something like that from the 3 point line. Then Miami, that was a tough game as well. Barrett was our leading scorer. Brunson played in that game as well. It was a breakout game for Grimes. Still wasn't enough. The Knicks lost 120-127. And then Orlando, I think many of us, and shout out to the chat, um, most of, particularly JJ, was a few others in the chat said that they thought that Orlando game would be a tough game. Up and coming team that had beat some quality opponents. It was the second game of a back-to-back. I just thought it was a game that we should win, even if we needed to grind it out. And the Knicks lost 106-111. So I'm gonna ask my usual question. What were your thoughts? What stood out for you last week? I'm going to, my mic will still be on, but I'm gonna stop the cam while I fix that. But you guys talk to me about what you.
Shutter, you take the lead on what stood out.
Okay. All right, great. What stood out to me is a little bit about what we talked about right before we went on the air, which is that Jalen Brunson not playing is the key to the chemistry to really make this engine work. And when you talk about who's the most valuable player of the Knicks, you got your Randall, supporters, and you got your Brunson supporters. But I think, really it's not going to happen without either one of them. But without having Brunson there, he's the engine that stabilizes the team, and he's the one that prevents 3 losses like this from happening. And we got to get him healthy. So if they're being cautious to get him healthy for the playoffs, by all means, so be it. I get it. Orlando, I think, is one of these teams that just plays the Knicks tough. They got lengthy players. They got athletic players. It's just a tough matchup for the Knicks. And Minnesota and Miami playing for their playoff lives to be out of the play-in. So I expected very, very tough matches from those first 2 teams. And Orlando's tough. So, I mean, did I expect 0-3? No. Am I completely shocked? Absolutely not. And I'm just looking forward to Brunson being healthy to help stabilize this thing.
Yeah. I mean, the only pushback on what Richard said is just because he only missed the 1 game. So I mean, you could credit his absence on that, but he was there for the other 2 and showed up. All in all, though, 3 losses, super disappointed. I expected us to. I called 3-0, even though prior to the stretch, I felt like Orlando and Cleveland were my 2 worry games for the rest of the year. And so I was already worried about Orlando, but I thought we would be up for the effort in Miami and win that one. And I definitely didn't see a Minnesota loss, especially missing, their key guys. So super disappointed in the 3. What I will say is we are super lucky to be where we are right now as it stands, still in the 5th spot, because that's, I guess, the difference within the East and the West to an extent. You know what I mean? You go on a 3-game losing streak, 3-game winning streak in the West, that could change your whole trajectory of your year. And here we are losing 3 in a row and still staying pat at that 5th seed, still being able to control our own destiny. So,
but Tone,
Yeah.
fifth in the West is not doing better than the Knicks record, fifth in the East.
I'm just saying three losses either way in the West changes the whole trajectory. Wherever you stand, you know what I mean. And I'm pointing out how lucky we are that we could lose 3 games in a week and still be in that same position and still be able to control where we end up moving forward, not having to worry about if this team loses and we win, or if we win, if we lose 2, they gotta, you know what I mean. We don't gotta worry about nothing any other team does. We just gotta worry about us.
Looking at the schedule, when I saw, the Nets are playing Miami, whoever wins, it's a win, and some of these other matchups, we've got some quote unquote luck of the draw with other teams and their matchups working to our favor. So, that's why I wasn't, totally ready to jump off the ledge. But yeah, we still got to win some games.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, DJ Shuttle, in terms of not jumping off the ledge because of what the other teams were not able to do, like Miami lost and Brooklyn lost. So in terms of our seeding, we're the same. But are you not concerned about how the Knicks are playing right now?
I've been concerned all season. It's been consistently inconsistent the entire season. So, you win 3 games, you lose 3 games, you win 6 games, you lose 4 games. So I've been really worried the whole season. So I don't know which team I'm gonna get. And I'm just gonna count my blessings that we stay 6 or higher and don't have to have the anxiety of a play-in. And have a great showing in the first round. Right now, I'm happy to make the top 6 seed and have a good showing in the first round. To me, that's a successful season, and anything more than that is icing on the cake.
Okay, all right, Josh. Anything that stood out for you this week?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the Queen's Court. Good evening to the MBK family, Tony, Shuttle, and Steph, obviously. What stood out for me is the defense, or lack thereof. I feel like this team is capable of playing better defense and have a better defensive effort than they showed over the past 3 games. Last week, when I was here, along with everyone else here, we predicted 3-0, and they came out of that 0-3, specifically because of lack of defense, right? And I don't care if we don't have Jalen Brunson or not. The Knicks were able to score some points. We were able to knock down the 3 ball, and then in the first couple games. But defensively, we just dropped laid an egg in all 3 games. There's no excuse for this team if we expect them to be, to beat anybody and to be formidable in the playoffs, to lose to Minnesota in the condition that they were in when Randall had his 57-point game, and to Orlando. So no excuses. We just got to play better defense. So that's what stood out for me, which is the lack of defense.
Yeah. I didn't see a lack of energy, but did you guys see any lack of urgency this past week, or not necessarily so?
I thought it was more lack of chemistry than lack of urgency. I feel like everybody kind of played hard. You know what I mean? Like nobody really slacked off. Unless you're talking about defensively, then yeah, you could point out a lot of flaws. But as far as like the energy, the effort, no. Were we clicking on all cylinders? Absolutely not either.
For me,
I seen some hand down, man down, which to me is, you need to be a little bit more urgent and put your hand up. It goes to the defense, but the defensive effort didn't seem like our playoff lives depended on it, and or the play-in depended on it. Like it seemed like there was a level that they could have went up that they weren't at, and they were at a week or 2 ago. When they won consecutive games. And they just seem like they were a little comfortable to me. So I might go out and say that they were not so urgent.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. When I say lack of defensive effort from a collective standpoint, I'm not saying that the Knicks literally didn't try, right? They didn't try hard. They didn't play hard. I think they did play hard. I just don't think that they were too comfortable and too content defensively, in my opinion. I think they could have took some more chances defensively, and they just didn't. And they let a team come into Madison Square Garden and shoot the lights out. So,
and if I could just add to the chemistry part, a lot of things have transpired, right? We got the Randall situation, right? We got we're coming off the Mitchell Robinson text or message, and then delete, and then his response. So I think a lot of that part hurts the chemistry as well. You know what I mean? You got to come back and retract the statement and then talk about that. The Randall incident comes up now. Quickly is being asked about this. You know what I mean? Like all these little things. I think that does hurt the chemistry of the team.
And Brunson being
Brunson being out,
the West,
in and out.
Coast. Yeah, I do think now. I'm not sure about all of those particular things, but I do think that this team is a streaky team. Like if they have good chemistry, things are going well. They're on a roll. They look great, and you could see what the ceiling of this team could be. And then for whatever reason, I don't know if it's those incidents, Tony, or I don't know what it is. They go on another streak. Something breaks their chemistry, or they lose a game or whatever, and here we go in the other direction. So I do think that they are prone to streaks. Where the chemistry looks good and great and it's clicking, and you like, yo, this is a really good team. And then they go the other way, and you like, what is going on? What is going on here? But this is what I'll say about the urgency. The way Minnesota came out, the way Miami came out, those are teams that are not great shooting teams, particularly with Anthony Edwards and Cat being out. Those are not teams that are usually good three-point shooting teams. But when your back is against the wall because you lost a few games, or I think, if I'm not mistaken, they came in the 8th seed. This is Minnesota, but they were in the 8th seed, but 1.5 games out of 6. And so a lot of times when you're urgent, when there's that sense of urgency, you get sharp and you kind of play above what you usually, how you would usually play. And I get it. It's hard to match desperation. But the Knicks, I don't know why they acting like they got this 5 or 6 seed sewn up. You know what I mean? So again, I'm expecting maybe not the same level of urgency of somebody who's trying to get there, because just human nature, they're going to have a bit more desperation than somebody who's already there. But I was expecting a bit more from the Knicks in terms of, we worked all season to get to this point. We're in the 5th seed. Let's step it up a little bit, at least try to match their urgency. And that's not what I'm seeing from the Knicks. Now, Orlando could have been the second half of a back-to-back, but I'm just expecting let me just say one more thing. And you could say Brunson was out, but Anthony was out for Minnesota, and the rest of the team kind of rallied around and said, we still need to do this. We have a goal in mind. So I don't know. I was just expecting a little bit more from the Knicks from the urgency perspective.
My question is, how concerned are you still then? Because I'm looking at us being lucky, still being in the fifth seed. But on the flip side of that is, does that make us still complacent? Because things haven't really changed in those standings, and we don't reach that desperation, or you know what I mean? Like you said, it's hard to fake or match desperation. Are you concerned in that point? I know as a fan, we happy to be in the 5th seed still, regardless of what. But I mean, from that aspect of the desperation part, maybe the Knicks haven't reached that because they're still right there on controlling their destiny.
What I'm hoping is that they're feeling like they dodged one. That's what I'm hoping, that they feel like, we went 0-3 and we're still in the 5th seed. I hope they're feeling like we dodged one, and we, even without Brunson, even with whatever is going on, we gotta be better. And let me tell you this: they lose to Houston tonight.
I already told you that changes my expectation moving forward. Period. You know what I mean?
But the way this team has played, they'll lose to Houston, and then they'll come back and spank Miami. That's the level
Cleveland.
That's
Right.
the level of
Yeah.
that is the level of consistent inconsistency that I'm
I
talking
cannot
about.
take that. I'll tell you, they lose tonight. I'm going off.
But to be honest, if you think about it, the Knicks have kind of played that way, like Shuttle said, all season, like playing against a Golden State team. They play up to the competition, it seems like, but they play down to the teams that are below them. So that's exactly what Shuttle was saying when you talk about consistently inconsistent. And there's that desperation factor that I think Steph was mentioning as well. When we had those matchups at Denver, right? Those 3 games that we just played came off a huge win to Denver when everyone was like, can the Knicks really do something? You know what I'm saying? And get to an Eastern Conference Final. So I think what everyone is saying is correct here. I do want to push back on the notion that Mitchell Robinson's tweet and the whole Randall situation, I think that's more of a fan thing. I think the fans are more concerned about that than the team is in the locker room. I don't think that has anything to do with their camaraderie and their chemistry on the floor, in my opinion.
Agreed.
All I'm saying is it could, and the Quickly thing more so just because you could visibly see how uncomfortable he was answering the questions, but
they played well in the second half, Tony. They played well right after that.
You're missing my point. The questions weren't asked to after the game, so that you're missing that has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
I thought we were talking about chemistry on the floor, though. I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead. I thought we were talking about chemistry. I'm sorry.
There's more than just chemistry on the floor, right? There's chemistry in the locker room. There's chemistry outside that leads to chemistry on the floor. So all that stuff plays a part. I'm not saying direct cause, but to just say it has no effect, I disagree. And me pointing out him being visibly uncomfortable answering the questions, as opposed to not having to answer those type of questions or just answer basketball questions, that's different.
I will admit I didn't see the interview. I only read Quickly's comments. I read RJ's comments. So like it's reading it, the comments from the players, it seemed more like yo, that's my crazy cousin, fam. Like just that's my crazy cousin. You know what he do,
right?
Like just like yo, I know what he said, but that's my cousin. He loved me.
I think what you read was a day later though, because I read those comments too. I'm talking about directly after the game and him saying we're just trying to win. We're just trying to win. Similar to both teams play hard. Both teams play hard. Like I don't want to answer this question. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
that was. Real quick. That interview was after the last game, so we'll be able to determine whether it had an effect chemistry-wise tonight. But as far as everything else, the Mitchell Robinson thing, three games, I thought that's more of a fan thing. Fans are more upset about that stuff than I think people in the locker room are, in my opinion, right? Because the Knicks and in the second half, after the Quickly thing, that they played well. They just couldn't, they played well offensively, right? But defensively, they weren't able to match up. So I don't think those have as much of an effect in the locker room as the fans make it seem. I think the fans in those specific situations, the Mitch thing and the Randall Quickly thing, are blown it way out of proportion, in my opinion. I don't think that's any part of why the Knicks lost those games. I thought it was just defensively, or lack thereof, was the reason why we lost those 3 games.
And we got to act like Ewing didn't almost throw Starks into the stands. And we got to act like we're not in New York. Please, New York fans, like, yo, y'all gotta really, really, really remember where y'all from. Unless y'all are like the new how we got the new rappers. Like if y'all are the new fans and you have no idea of the old New York fans and what we went through.
It's gentrified now, Shadow. It's gentrified.
And what we watched amongst our team and how they dealt with stuff like this. I don't know. I lived through all of that. And I look at that, I'm like, yeah, so what? What's the big deal? Like I played on teams where, things like that happen too. After the game, win or lose, you hug it out, and this is your family, and you go to the next game. So, I think RJ's mature beyond his years. That's his number one quality that I appreciate about him. Yep. And to me, Quickly is no punk, and he's not. To me, he don't seem like a soft and brittle type of guy. So, I don't really think it's an issue for these guys. I mean, Brunson, Josh Hart, like the people that matter, it's not an issue. I don't think.
The only thing I will say is you can have issues in the locker room and still play well on the court. So we don't really know what's going on in the locker room. But I will say, because I've been on teams like this, even though we played well, it was just one more. It wasn't. We played well. The chemistry was good on the court, but it was just one more thing that had to be overcome. It wasn't. It wasn't.
Obstacle, yeah.
It was
And
just
that's all. That's all I'm saying. It's
it was
easier not having to answer the question at all
definitely.
than having to answer the question and be mindful of your answer. So whatever I say doesn't be taken as
Right.
something. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's
But-
all I'm saying.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what
Like
I,
team
what I
can
will say to that, Tony, is I much prefer being able to have adversity and be able to be past it than to only be a person in a family and a team where things are only good when things are great.
And then when the adversity comes, you don't know how to handle it.
Know how to listen. And I agree 100%. Josh, I saw the controversy. I agree with everything you said on it. Like, and I gave you props on my show earlier. So
My bad.
I agree. I think we were just making two different points of
right.
the same thing.
Right. All right. Grimes played well this past week. Two out of the 3 games. I got a few concerns going into the playoffs, but one of them is that we're counting on Grimes, who's a second-year player. Now, that doesn't mean that Randall and Brunson doesn't have to play well. They do, but I just feel like we're counting on guys that, in a perfect world, you wish you wouldn't have to. I think it's just unfair to them at this point in their development to have to count on them. But
Is RJ included in that, or are you referring?
To me, yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like it's unfair to me. It's Grimes and Quickly, but I mean, everybody can have different views on this, and some people can feel like, yo, you in the starting lineup. I don't care. You a rookie. You got to be able to, so you don't have to agree with me. I'm just thinking that we're going into the playoffs, and how Grimes plays will make a difference.
Absolutely.
Fair or unfair, it will make a difference. And anyway, he played well this
But if he's not playing well, you're easily going to slide Josh Hart right into his minutes. So to me, it's not really any pressure for Grimes. I mean, to me, RJ Barrett is the one. You talk about who we're dependent on. Like RJ Barrett, this is your second playoffs in 3 seasons. You're a number 3 pick. You're averaging 19.7 points. Yo, RJ Barrett needs to deliver. RJ Barrett is who needs to deliver. And if RJ Barrett is delivering, Randall's delivering, and Brunson's delivering, how much are we really looking for from Grimes? We're not looking for really much.
This is the only thing I will say. They get it done differently. And I think that may make a difference in terms of creating space for those guys. Like, RJ, every point we get, we're gonna need. So that's not what I'm saying. He's gonna get to the basket and he's gonna score his points. If he's shooting 40% from catch and shoot, super.
Oh, we good.
Happy. I'm super happy. But I just feel like the Knicks need the perimeter, the perimeter shooting. But I guess
what's your exact question though?
But that's what I was getting to. That's what I was getting to. And actually, as I'm saying it out loud, I think the question is changing. But I guess let me ask it this way. Is it fair? First of all, do you believe Grimes' performance in the playoffs matters? And the DJ Shuttle says no. We'll just put Hart in there. And second is it fair? Is it fair to have to count on Grimes? Yeah, let's put it that way.
Yes.
Either one of those.
100% it's fair. It's not a boohoo thing. You in the starting lineup. You've replaced Evan Fournier, who literally broke the 3-point record for this team last year. Your defense hasn't, I mean, at times has been fluctuated this year, but that's what we really held your hat on as a reason for you replacing Evan Fournier in that starting lineup and in the rotation completely apparently. So yes, you need to replace input that we know we can get at the very least
Yeah.
offensively from that 3-point line from Fournier. So yes, it's not unfortunate or you know what I mean, like unfair. It's just it is what it is. You're in the league, you earned your way there. So do what you are put there to do. And then to Shuttle's point, I do agree a little bit in the sense of if RJ, Randall, Brunson are doing what they're supposed to do, not only do we have to rely on him less, but what we need him for should become easier, right? But all in all, he has to hit those open shots. That's all we've talked about throughout the year. Like the shot looks good, whatever. Sometimes he's on, but he gotta hit those open shots. Bad news, huh?
I think we still should win. I think we still should win.
Come on now.
Period.
Zach.
To answer your question, Queen, no, I don't think it's unfair, but I do think it's unfortunate. And I just want to say that to Shuttle's point about well, we still got Josh Hart there. No, that's not going to cut it offensively because Josh Hart, again, is not the same level of shooter as Quentin Grimes, right? And I think for spacing purposes, Josh Hart is not going to be a person that's going to be above and beyond Quentin Grimes in that respect, right? And also, you can't forget about the defensive part, which Quentin Grimes is a better defender than Josh Hart. Josh Hart is a spark plug off the bench. That's his role, right? So you can't just take Grimes out and put Hart in there. I don't think it works that way for this particular team. Next season, we can discuss that for next season, but for that, I don't agree with that part. The other part in regards to RJ Barrett, I'm not depending on RJ Barrett. I stopped depending on RJ Barrett to be that guy a long time ago, right? Now, if RJ Barrett is consistent in his role, like Tony said, catch and shoot, like Queen said, if he can do that, that's a big plus for this team, right? But as far as, driving to the basket and all of that, I'm not really depending on him to do that. I think, I'm past that. It's not unfair for Quentin Grimes. That's the role that he's put in. But the reason why I say it's unfortunate is because we're depending on a second-year player, and we're depending on our offense is based on isolation and kickouts to a team that is not that good of a three-point shooting team. So that's the unfortunate part. And our offense is not creative enough, and we don't run enough creative offense in order to get easy shots. That's why there's a debate of should the Knicks take more three-pointers, or should they sustain this level of three-pointers? I don't think they should, but that's all they can do. They don't have anything else in the arsenal. In my opinion, offensively.
But he earned that spot, and it's not like it's not someone there to replace him for that particular input.
That's why I said it's not unfair. That's why I said it's not unfair. I said it's unfortunate.
I mean,
it's not unfair. It's unfortunate.
I heard what you said, and I get the difference. I'm just saying I don't think it's unfortunate either because he earned it. How can him earning something be unfortunate?
Because we don't have a better option.
What I said went way above your head. I'm talking about the way the Knicks run their offense. It's dependent on three-point shooting, and that's all we depend on instead of having an offense that's predicated on getting a little bit more easier shots. The Knicks right now, they take a ton of threes. I think they're top 5 in three-point attempts per game in the NBA right now, right? But they don't have great three-point shooters. Not one player on their team outside of Brunson, you can argue, is a great three-point shooter, and they can't create offense without either playing isolation or the three-pointers off of those isolations. One of them, which we're not the best at. So that's the unfortunate part. Not Grimes himself specifically.
Okay.
But the fact that the Knicks play that style of offense, basically.
But I think it is unfortunate for him in the sense that he's put in that situation. To me, I feel like, that the Knicks, had the Knicks known they were going to be where they are, I like to think they would have did a better job of getting better three-point shooting around Brunson and Randall. They know that now, and in the offseason, that should be one of the things at the top of their list. And I don't think they should count on Grimes taking the next step. He might, but we're not going to know that until the season starts. So I think in the offseason, they have to address it. And if he does take the next step, it's just a good problem to have that you went out and got a good shooter and he turned into, it's just a good problem.
Last 10 games, 50% from the field, almost 44% from three for Grimes. And For him to shoot 47, 48, 50% and shoot 40% from three, I think that's a ceiling that he can reach.
I agree. I'm with you on that. I just don't think he's there yet.
I think he can reach that. And
Right.
but to Josh's point, instead of just this ISO offense, like there should be plays for Grimes at this point now. He's proven worthy to get him off some curls, get him some easy baskets, get him some open looks. He's proven his catch and shoot can be money, but too often he's getting the ball as a throwaway late in the shot clock from Randall and Barrett when they tried ISO plays and it didn't work, and they just dump it to him with 3 seconds on the clock.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the ball with a defender on him or two or in a bad spot. Usually he's getting the ball, he's open. Like that's why it boils down to hit the open ones, and I think he'll be fine.
And if that's what we're depending on, him hitting the open three, I'm confident with that, and I have no problems depending on that.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I mean, listen, I think whatever the numbers you said he was over the last 10 games, almost 44% from three. I get it. But when you say that's his ceiling, I'm not sure that's his ceiling for the rest of this season and into the playoffs, because if it is, the Knicks should have no problems getting out the first round. Right?
And
that's a whole other conversation. But
what I'm trying to say is, I don't know if he's been that type of shooter over the last 10 games. I don't know if he's there yet. One of the hardest things to do in this league as a young player is to be consistent at whatever it is you do. Right? We're seeing that with RJ Barrett. We know what he does. He gets to he drives, he gets into the key, he shoots the 3-pointer. Is he consistent at it? No. There's stretches where he's great and stretches where he's not. I don't know if we can expect Grimes from here on out to be what he was over the last 10 games. If he is, great. The only thing I'll say about creating shots from him is that I think it's coming. I don't know if it's going to be this season, though, but I think it's coming. I don't think there's anything wrong with starting off playing off of those guys. And then as you gain trust and as you get better in your game and more consistent, now we started running offense. That's what happened with RJ Barrett, if we remember his development. So Grimes is going to be fine. In a perfect world, Grimes and IQ's usage, or I should say shot attempts, in a perfect world would be more than RJ Barrett's. And I think we're going to get there. I don't think it's going to be this season, though.
That's why I think it's more ideal, the situation for him, because he gets to play to his strength. And we're not relying on him to actually create and play make. Like everything else becomes a bonus. You know what I mean? I really feel like his usage is minimal. So that's why I don't see any like disadvantage or any bad part of it. You know what I mean? Like we're really asking for you to do a couple of specific things, and we're not restricting it to that. So if you do anything else, you know what I mean. You got the green light for that too. So I kind of I feel like it's ideal. If we're gonna say unfortunate, I feel like it's more unfortunate the Fournier situation because for a number of reasons, the money we're paying him to kind of be a cheerleader. He's doing a great job. There's no knock on his role in that. You know what I mean? Like he's not being a troublemaker or causing any type of disruption. But I think that's more unfortunate. And you could argue the same for Derrick Rose too. 2 years ago, catalyst in the playoff push, and I part of me just wishes we had some I mean, I guess we do have definitive roles moving forward, but you know what I'm saying. Like that's the business part. But I feel like Grimes is like the plus side of everything. You know what I mean? Like
the future is bright.
No doubt about it. But if the Knicks aren't successful in this first in the opening round of the playoffs, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to point to the perimeter shooting. But another thing I think we'll be able to point to is that we're counting on players that other teams If they want other teams at this point in their development, they would be further down. I'm not saying they wouldn't be in the rotation. They would probably be in the rotation, but they would be further down in terms of being counted on. I think it would be more like what they give us is gravy. Like when McBride dropped that 18 points on Portland. We wasn't counting on that, but it was good that he was able to do it.
Can I ask this then? And shout out to Shuttle, because I agree with his point about just putting heart in. You know what I mean? And I say that in the sense of this team is built on next man up anyway, right? This team is built on, if one guy is not doing his job, Tibbs don't have a problem, all right, rotating the situation, right? So my question is, if it was Hart starting and if it was Hart starting, would the question still be the same as far as, is there too much on Hart?
I don't,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for me, the only reason I say that is because he just doesn't have a lot of years in the league for Grimes. That we're counting on a second year play who hasn't even played 164 games.
So what if they reverse though? What not even saying the question for Hart, but if it reverses, like, all right, now Grimes is in his like kind of rightfully right role of still working his way in, and Hart deservingly so could have more of a role, pressure, or whatever the case, because he's more seasoned, more of a veteran. Is it just that starting lineup that makes is it just Grimes being a starter that makes you ask the question? Or is it what we need him for, whether he's starting or off the bench?
Correct. Whether he's starting or off the bench, we're going to need that perimeter shooting. But this is what I'll say about Josh Hart. I'm not looking at I'm not looking at Grimes' form. I'm looking at it going in. So on this season, in terms of Josh Hart being on the Knicks, he's been shooting well for the Knicks. I'm not going to be like, oh, well, Grimes is a better shooter because, it looks better. But what he's doing right now is going in. And
that was going to be my retort.
When you look at his career numbers, the more volume he's had, the better he shot. If you look at Josh Hart's career numbers, he didn't shoot well in Portland. He was only taking like two a game. I would like to see Josh Hart take more shots. I would like to see him. I think he passed. I think and what he does is great, but I think there's more offense to be had in Josh Hart. I think he passes up a lot of shots as well. The other thing I'll say about Josh Hart, and we do need Grimes perimeter shooting. Don't get me wrong. Hart is so dynamic. He's so dynamic. It's that he just it's like it's like chemistry. If things is going a certain way and you just add a drop of Josh Hart and it just changes, what it becomes. So I think he's going to be huge for us in the playoffs, whether he's a great shooter, whether he's a great shooter or not. I think he's going to be huge.
Don't you think he relieves some of that pressure? Because I kind of think that, like, that's why I think Shuttle was spot on. It's like next man up. If Grimes isn't performing, now we're gonna need one of Grimes and quickly. That's for sure. You know what I mean? But I think the addition of Hart and the fact that whatever his career says, he's shooting the ball well here. You know what I mean? So I think that relieves some of that pressure. I don't think there's too much on him. I think he's in the right spot. You know what I mean? Like, he still has time to grow. He's not gonna get any of the blame. You know what I mean? He's not gonna have to face the fans, if you will, if things don't go wrong. You know what I mean? Like, he's even as a starter, I think he's still in that safe zone. You know what I mean? It's time to grow.
Grimes is 22 years old. He's averaging 37% from three. He shoots well on catch and shoot. To me, his age, RJ's age, I mean, this Mitch's age, even Brunson's age, really, like, these are all the things that we should be super encouraged by. And this is why, for me, if it's a first round exit, I'm not really tripping, because I feel like with all the draft picks, with the growth and the development of the season, if we have a good showing in the first round, and now these young guys are getting real playoff experience, then we should be marching into next season like stomping real hard.
In regards to this, Quentin Grimes, whether he comes off the bench or whether he starts, I don't think that, for me personally, I don't think that matters, right? Yeah. Josh Hart is shooting 59% off catch and shoot threes since he's been a Knick. Quentin Grimes is shooting 36%. Josh Hart's number is obviously astronomical, right? But he's only taking 2 of them per game, right? Prolific as a Knick so far, but I'm not buying it. Personally, I'm not buying it because that's never who Josh Hart has been, and I'm not going to depend on that just as much as Queen is not going to depend on Quentin Grimes.
Look at his first few years in the league, though. When he shot the 3-point at a higher volume, it wasn't 59%. Don't get me wrong, but he shot pretty good from the 3-point line.
Well, specifically catch and shoot. That's what I'm talking about because that's how the Knicks use Josh Hart and Quentin Grimes in the offense. Just shooting 3-pointers off the dribble, off of whatever. It's different than just shooting catch and shoot threes because Josh Hart is off the ball player and Quentin Grimes is an off the ball player. That's primarily what stat I'm looking at specifically, right? So I'm not trusting Josh Hart
for his
I looked at it. I looked at it the other day, but I can pull it up again. But what I want to say, I'm not depending on Josh Hart to be that guy in the playoffs. Just like Queen is not depending on Quentin Grimes to be that guy because he's a second-year player, right? So I think just period, regardless. Oh, I mean, and that'll be awesome.
I just feel like it's unfair to expect it, but I hope he can be. It changes.
But everything. I think there is a possibility because the Knicks are so streaky overall as a team, and I think Quentin Grimes himself is streaky. The Knicks can hit a run. I mean, similar to Dallas last season. I always compare them to Dallas. Like they just got so hot during the playoffs with Luka and Jalen Brunson isolating, and it took them all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So there is a realm of possibility that could happen.
Right.
But like you said, I don't think it's fair to depend on it from a team perspective.
Nor expect it.
Right. And this is why. I guess I'm sure we're gonna have a playoff show prior to going into the start of the first round. But I hear you, DJ Shuttle, about how these guys need to grow in a second. To me, though, the Knicks are right there. And part of them taking the next step, in my opinion, I know the fans, here come the tomatoes, is getting off some of these young guys and bringing in some veterans. And it don't have to be a Grizzly veteran, but just guys who've been in the league 4, 5, 6 years and know what this is about, as opposed to waiting for all 5 of our young guys to grow into the position. Pick 1 or 2 of them, and then the rest of them, we need to trade them in for some.
The funny thing is, if you're speculating off of usage rate or what we get out of our young guys, it definitely narrows it down, and I don't think Grimes is the one. You know what I mean? To
clean Grimes.
So,
all right. So Brunson is out tonight, and we don't know how long Prince he's gonna be out. We got Miami Wednesday. We got Cleveland.
He's gearing up for Miami.
Yeah, hopefully we're saving him for Miami.
He's like, I missed the last one. I ain't missing this one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If he can't go, Josh Hart first. Sorry, I just pulled it up. First year in the NBA, Josh Hart catch and shoot 41.8. Second year, 34.8. What is it? 34.1. Right, and this is 2.5 attempts, and then 2.5 attempts the first year. Second year it was 1.5. So.
Okay. Just catch and shoot, not threes altogether.
Just catch and shoot, correct.
Gotcha. All right.
First year was pretty good, though. Off 2 attempts.
I think it's something he'll work on, knowing how the Knicks play. Something he needs to work on over the summer. If Brunson can't go down the stretch, I think we got seven more games. How confident are you in quickly playing well enough for the Knicks to still avoid the 7th seed?
My concern is not with quickly per se. My concern is more with who's stepping up in his absence in production off the bench.
Off the bench.
I think he's really a strength as far as coming off the bench, and not saying anything about him as a starter because I don't mind it, but somebody needs to step in. If we're gonna get that 18-point production, every now and again from Deuce, great. But if we're gonna get what we've seen now that would be a scenario in which I think it's unfortunate that we're relying on 18 points or shooting, from Deuce in his promotion more than what we need from Grimes per se. So yeah, my concern, yes, but not him starting, but more of the bench.
I agree with Tony 100%. He said everything I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. I mean,
Tony hit that out the park.
we got Josh Hart. We got Josh Hart. And that's cool, but we don't really have a quality backup small forward. So we kind of playing Josh Hart at power forward. Now is Evan Fournier going to start playing? Like, what are we going to do? So,
I think it's McBride, which is what we're going to see today. But I agree. I think if Brunson can't play the rest of the way, I think the Knicks are in the play-in. But I don't think it's because of Quickly. I just think that this team is just in the play-in without Brunson, unless there's some major uptick in somebody's game, whether that's in the starting unit, the second unit. And one of the concerns I have is, and this is what I'm talking about, Brunson can't go. Quickly is in the starting lineup. Now we got to move McBride into the rotation. And the same thing can happen in the playoffs. If Brunson can't go, the Knicks, and I've said this, I can't tell you how many times, the Knicks need a veteran point guard as that third point guard, particularly in the playoffs. And obviously, it's nothing we can do about it now. It is what it is. As much as I like McBride, this is the difference between how certain rosters are built. There's always going to be a drop off between your first, second, and third. It's just a matter of how big that drop off is. And in my opinion, going from Quickly to McBride is a big drop off, and that would definitely hurt the Knicks.
What does it say though that we have Derrick Rose right there, and Tibbs has the history?
I don't think he's ready.
I mean, physically ready.
Physically, I think he's lost this. I just don't think, because to me that's Tibbs' guy. Unless there was a mandate from the front office, no matter what, you need to get McBride minutes, and that's possible. I think that he's seen something in practice that leads him to believe that he not that same guy.
I mean,
and that tells you something about
that. I mean, that's where I was going. What does that tell you? That, you know what I mean? Especially if we talk about like regular season, it may be totally feasible not to even risk a injury for Rose, you know what I mean, at this position junction. But come playoffs, and Brunson's out, and Rose don't get a minute, that's gonna be a telling tale for me personally, because now we talking about crunch time, we talk about the moments that matter, and we talking about the history of Tibbs and Rose, and knowing, you know what I mean, what this man is capable of, going back to 2 years ago.
I gave up on Rose playing. I gave up on Rose playing.
I agree with both of y'all. I think both of y'all can be correct at the same time. A mandate from the front office, plus Rose has lost a step. But for me, I don't want the Knicks to change that go playoff time. I don't care if Brunson's going to be miss a game or not. I don't want them to stray away from what they've been doing, even down the stretch of the season right now. If Rose is not going to play, and knock on wood, God forbid, I hope not, we get into the playoffs and Brunson can't go a game, I don't want to see Derrick Rose all of a sudden go out there.
Right.
I think, as far as team chemistry is concerned, I don't like that at all. You do. Old coach used to tell me this all the time. If you don't practice it, you don't put it in the game. If you don't practice it, you don't put it in the game. So, yes, a football reference. But anyway.
But that's true too. Now, for all the people who want the Knicks to play zone, I mean, if the Knicks are practicing zone, sure, play it.
Right. Right.
But if
And
you're
Exactly.
not practicing it, you're not going to just
Do it
play
out
it
the blue.
slow.
I can't see them guys not practicing though. Like they gotta be practicing, getting runs with the second unit, getting runs with the with the first unit here and there. I can't see them not doing that. I mean, even if you doing a team scrimmage, excuse me, Tibbs is gonna have to up one for his rotation because you need 10. So you know what I mean? He gotta use a 10th
Yeah, but I
person
think
just to run
when you
a scrimmage alone. That I mean, I'm just giving you like facts. Like they got to be practicing.
yeah, but I think in those types of scenarios, because what we did when we played football, when we would have our offensive days and our defensive days, I think in practice, what the Knicks are doing, and you guys went to one of the Knicks practices, I believe, earlier, right? So I'm not sure if it was done this way, but from my experience, with watching basketball and football, when you want to run your offensive sets, the focus from the team and the coach's perspective is on the offense for that particular run or whatever you do. You just have people out there playing defense as bodies. And then conversely, the same defensively. You want to have your defensive lineup out there, and then you put guys to run like whatever Houston's going to run tonight. You put a scout team out there to do that, right? And it's unfortunate that I'm saying that Derrick Rose is on the scout team for the Knicks for the next game that they play. But I think it's something like that. I think they are practicing together in practice, Tony, but I don't think it's the way you're thinking as far as chemistry and automatic transition to chemistry on the floor in real time.
All I'm saying is you need 10 guys for a scrimmage, 5 on each side. Tibbs got a 9-man rotation. That's automatically one extra person that's getting scrimmage from. And I'm sure and I'm sure he's not just playing those 10 people all the time. He's got to switch it up to see how things work. So
that's old
everybody
school though. That's old school, Tone. These teams don't really practice like that anymore.
It's more nuanced, Tony. Is what I'm saying.
That's old school. It's really more walkthroughs and going through our plays and our sets and what we're trying to do versus we scrimmaging for competition and all right, we're gonna run our set and you guys play hard defense on us and let's see how it goes. Like they're not really doing that,
right?
To my knowledge,
so he may be out there on the floor, but not going hard. Just that extra body, on defense as they go through their offense, and the extra body on offense as they're working on their, their defensive sets. But listen, like somebody in the chat said, none of us know for sure. They might roll both of them out in the playoffs. Listen, they might. Hopefully this doesn't happen, but if they feel like our young guys are just getting totally overwhelmed, maybe they bring them through, or maybe they just say, you know what, we just gonna let them get smoked and we just gonna lose and just regroup over the over the off season, because I've seen situations where the playoffs will just take a player out, meaning that they're just a semblance of themselves, in the playoffs. So it can happen,
Tony, you think in practice Randall is like a 92 Dream Team practice with Jordan and Magic? He got his 5 and I got my 5. And they just be going at it like crazy.
No, my point is for guys like Deuce McBride to show things in practice, guess what? He has to be practicing. And I doubt and I would think that has to be within a scrimmage atmosphere more than X's and O's atmosphere. So that's why I'm saying these guys have to be practicing. Otherwise, how does the next man up mentality? How does it even work if you're not seeing it against Julius Randle or against Brunson? You know what I mean? Like against the actual top competition on your team.
Right.
Yeah, he's playing. All right, let's get to next week's game. But I just want to show this really quick. The Knicks are in the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, 2 games ahead of both Brooklyn and Miami. I believe they have the conference tiebreaker if them and Miami happen to be tied at the end of the year. I'm not sure. They also have it. I think that's the conference 19. They also have it over. Oh, no, this is it. Yeah, 28-19, Brooklyn 27-21, Miami 21-20. So if they happen to be tied with any of those teams, the conference record is the first is the first tiebreaker. So, I mean, if you want to say the Knicks are comfortable, I mean, they're 2 games out of 7. I don't know if you guys feel that's comfortable, but that's where they are. All right. We play Houston tonight at home, Miami at home, Cleveland, lowercase level in letters in Cleveland, and Washington at home. And that's not Thursday. We play Washington Sunday, actually. And this is the record. Houston 18-57, 3-7 over their last 10. They lost their last 5 games, 15th in the Eastern Conference. The head-to-head is not correct. I don't believe it's correct. Miami 40-35, 6-4 over their last 10. They lost their last game. They're 7th in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland 20 games over 500, 48-28. Playing their best basketball at the end of the season, 8-2. They won 4 straight, 4th in the Eastern Conference. Washington 33-42, 2-8 over their last 10. They lost their last game. They're 12th in the Eastern Conference. And again, the head-to-head is not correct. I forgot to. I think Miami is correct. Houston is correct. Cleveland. I know Washington is not. We lost to Houston?
We lost to Cleveland, I think.
Yes.
1-1. 1-1, I believe. Cleveland
is 1-1? Okay, Cleveland is 1-1. And I know we lost to Washington. I think Washington is 2-1. If I'm not mistaken. Miami and Cleveland are top 10 in offensive rating. Defensive rating, none of these guys are. And Cleveland is top 10 in defense. But Houston is 30th in defense. Miami is 28th in defense. This is over the last 10. Washington 26th in defense. New York 19th in defense. Any thoughts on these upcoming games? Anything that sticks out to you from any of these games?
Well,
thank you, Barry Stugger, 2-1 against Cleveland.
Right. I was going to say that 2-1 versus Cleveland. Yeah. I mean, Washington appears to, in one breath, they look like they're kind of playing hard, but they kind of look like they're tanking. So, I mean, you got it in bold letters, Miami, all bold letters, all capitals, because that's the game that matters most.
No, the capital is the home game. But okay.
No, it's capital because that's the game that matters most. Okay. That's how I'm taking it right now. But I know. All kidding aside, yeah, you got to beat Miami. I don't care if you go 1-3. You got to beat Miami. You got to beat Miami. Go 1-3 if you have to, but beat Miami because Miami can still lose some other games, and that solidifies your position versus them for that spot. But I don't know. I knew Cleveland was good. I didn't really look at their record, and you put emphasis on it. 20 games over 500, and I'm glad you said that because that's re-emphasis. I know it's not really where we're at right now, but I got to say this: the 20 games over 500, they have a much better team in terms of quality players. And if we secure the 5th spot and we lose to Cleveland, you can't tell me this season is something for you to be upset and be disappointed about when you lose to a 50-win team that has the level of plays that they have. We gotta dial it back a little bit. Hopefully that's not too controversial, Josh. Is that controversial, Josh?
Hell yeah, it's controversial. And you know why? It ain't because of Cleveland, the team Cleveland. It's because of who they got, who we could have got. That's why it's controversial.
Listen, it is
for me. For me, at least, it's not the same for everybody. For me,
we got Jalen Brunson. He's exceeded expectations, and I know that's something to hold on to. But me, I like to move forward, and to me, it's been a positive year, and I'm looking at 2-2 in these 4 games, and to me, it's all about Miami. That's really all I care about on this week.
My only thing about the whole Cleveland series and if we lose to Donovan Mitchell is I feel like people should have the same energy. If people are gonna ridicule the Knicks for not getting Donovan Mitchell, if we lose to him, then if we beat him, then I want that same energy. I don't want to hear nothing else about who we could have got.
Right.
And that's all I'm saying about that. Let's keep it fair on both sides.
The other way around too. if you lose to him, okay, that's why. Because he's the he's the
Yeah.
better player. People are gonna be all
Right.
upset if the Knicks lose to Cleveland. Oh, we should beat them. Listen, there's a difference between you have a shot and being the favorite.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks have a shot if things fall the right way, but I don't think they're gonna be the favorite in any first round series we play.
And Josh, I want to also add, Josh, that I don't know. I'm from the school of I never thought Danny Ainge really ever was seriously trying to deal Mitchell to the Knicks. So, I know we talked about it. We went back and forth, but really, when we all break it down at the end of the day, I mean, unless you gave him 8 draft picks and unless you did something retarded, insane, he had no intentions on doing the deal. So because I accept that reality, I'm not really looking at it like the Knicks didn't do enough to get the deal done.
I know it makes you feel better. I mean, even though it's not true, it makes you feel better.
Yeah,
to say it that way. I get it. But and me and Queen agree on this wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
But
it's right, Shadow. I'm with you.
Exclusive negotiating period before Cleveland got involved. They had an exclusive negotiating period.
Listen,
listen, not to revisit it.
Any ladies on the check-in, have you ever had a man making you feel like you were exclusive only to find out he was dating 5 other chicks?
But we know for a fact Cleveland wasn't in the picture early on. They weren't. I'm not even gonna go here. I'm not even gonna dig further down this hole. Yeah, we just disagree.
I'm gonna let this go.
But I felt like this is something the Knicks should have closed, even if they had to sweeten the pot. That's just how I feel.
And I look at it. Look the way Randall's playing right now, all NBA season. Right, you got Jalen Brunson, who has been playing great out of his mind. He could potentially make All NBA, one of the first. Well, I guess the second player to make All NBA while making an All-Star team. And then the Knicks just seem to be missing that one piece, either at the 2 or the 3. Right, and all the questions about can Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson play defense together? Cleveland is 3rd in defensive rating in the past 10 in the last 10 games. And I think they're still 1st in the league overall with 2 small guards. Right, so I think those questions were answered already, but not to revisit the past. The most important game on the schedule, I agree with Shuttle, is Miami, in my opinion. I think this is the game you got to win for standings purposes. Houston, you just gotta pull that out. You got to pull that out. But
no matter what, I don't care. You got to
Miami is the most important game here, and then Cleveland is just another measuring stick to see. We tend to play up the competition, so let's see how that game goes. But for me, it's Miami, no question about it.
And go ahead.
No, I was just so Shuttle don't feel like he's getting jumped. I'm with you. I got your back. I'm on that side.
We know, Tony.
And as far as the games, I agree. Miami's the most important. Obviously, that's excluding any catastrophe tonight. And Miami will be on a back-to-back. They play Tuesday as well, so we really have a chance to put our foot on their neck. I shouldn't say that. Take them out of the competition.
Who they play, Tony? Do you know who they play on Tuesday?
It might be Charlotte.
Cleveland.
It's Cleveland. Oh,
I believe it's Cleveland. Somebody check that. I believe it's Cleveland.
Even more. Tough game for them back to back. Let's make it even tougher. And
Toronto.
And then Washington.
Toronto. It's Toronto. I knew it was a tough team.
Okay. Yeah, tough game. They fighting for their position in the play-in, playoff, whatever. Yeah. So tough game. And then Washington, that's the trap game. So let's not take them lightly. Even if we go 3-0, let's not overlook them. Let's stay strong. You know what I mean?
Is Beal playing? Because Washington plays us tough.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're 2-1 against them. But that second game in or was it the first game? And we pulled that out the last.
That was the one when KP had 20 something points in the first.
Yeah.
4 points the rest of the game.
I think so. Because we went to both of those games, so I'm trying to figure out which one it was.
Second one.
They played us close, so I don't think that unless they've just given up and they just not playing with any urgency or whatever. I expect that to be a tough game as well. Right.
I mean, Houston and Miami coming off of back-to-backs, right?
Right. Beal and Kuzma are both injured now. Okay. And I get what the chat is saying about who Cleveland has playing a 3, 4, and 5, but that's the same thing the Knicks could do. If you got
Right,
two
who's the-
short guards, how you building out the rest of your roster? And that's what I said
Right.
at the time when people were talking
Exactly.
about it. How are you going to build out the rest of your roster? It's not like our 3, 4, and 5 have to stay the way it is right now. You
Exactly.
have to build it out around the fact that you have two, short
and
guards.
and I don't think they had to really make any adjustments. They already had those other
They
positions
did.
solidified, so it was more of a seamless fit. Where for us I get your point, Queen. Do what you got to do.
Do what
My
you got to get
my
this
problem, my
in
problem,
the building and
yeah,
do what
my
you
problem
afterwards.
was not the non-exact fit at the time. So I get it. I get it.
I think when
Tony,
it
you
comes
was a
to
big-
stars, there's no
Hmm?
such thing as fit. You get them in the building and you build the roster around who are they fitting with? Who
I mean,
do you have on the roster that you're gonna bring in the song? Be like, he don't fit with who? RJ? With who? Brunson? Like you
Tony,
the
you
guy.
were a big proponent. You were a big proponent of Cam Reddish playing. Imagine a lineup with Cam Reddish, Donovan Mitchell, and Jalen Brunson out there. Not to mention the players that can't get in the rotation right now as it is because the Knicks are too deep. Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, players like that were really good contributors, right? So I just notion of, well, if we would have got Donovan Mitchell, we would have more holes to fill, and like there's nothing we can be able to do. I just disagree with that wholeheartedly.
my biggest concern was the defense in the backcourt, and then having to figure out the adjustment for the rest of the squad. Again, I wasn't against doing it. I only voiced my concerns about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's two different things. It wasn't like I didn't like them or want them.
You would have still been
I
a
was
Knicks
I
fan
was
had we
all
got
for
her.
it. I was
100%.
all for it, and was saying, please, respectfully, take RJ Barrett and make this deal happen. I was all for it. Keep Grimes, let him come off the bench. Like I wanted it to happen, but I just don't think that Danny Ainge. I think he was, jerking the team around, and he had no intentions on doing the deal.
I mean, I hear you. I hear you.
And I was so happy to see him get punched in the face looking at the Suns Knicks replay recently. I was so happy to see that.
But they sitting in a good spot, Utah, with all of the the assets
all those draft picks, yeah.
Yeah,
they would have been even better if they was losing. But
listen,
players don't tank.
The Knicks are going. The Knicks are going to the playoffs with all of these young players: Grimes, Mitch, RJ, McBride. Quickly, you got all these young players.
What does that mean?
All these draft picks and going to the playoffs.
Listen to me.
Like I feel like we playing with house money right now.
I hear you. Would you agree if we were able to get him? If we were able to get him, we would be a little closer right now.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. I'm past that.
All right.
But yeah, if Mitchell would have came again, I was all for it. All for it. I'm all for it.
We would have been a little closer right now. And at
some point you're gonna have to cash those young players in.
At some point, and it has to me. It got to be this season. You guys can disagree. Stop playing with your window. I feel like that can also send you back as well. When you have an opportunity to take a step to move you forward and you sit in and wait in and this offseason to me is a significant offseason for the Knicks. I mean, we'll have more time to talk about it.
Can't wait.
We're gonna be at the draft party upset if the Knicks don't. We know they're not. I don't think they're gonna draft anybody, but for me, that's the time to see what the beginning of them reshaping the roster, because I'm hoping that some trades happen during that time. But anyway, any last words? Appreciate you guys. Great show.
I'm super excited. The Knicks play in 6 minutes. We had 3 days off. It feels like a week. Let's right in the ship and Losers Lounge tonight. Yo, Black is tired.
Yo, these young skinny uber athletic teams always scare me. So I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little nervous tonight. With no Brunson playing. Brunson's kind of like when you go to the park and you play with the old guys and you fast and you run and you jump. The old school guys, they elbow you, they step on your foot, they do them type of plays to kind of bring you down. And Brunson's kind of that level of savvy player that you need against a team like this. And yeah, these young uber athletic teams definitely concern me. I don't care what the record is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That sound like a t-shirt, Queen. I'm just saying.
Put that on a t-shirt. I agree with Shuttle. Yeah, these teams scare me. Houston doesn't. We got to go out and take care of business. If the Knicks are for real, you got to win these games. And just a little add-on to what we were talking about earlier in regards to, without having Brunson and stuff like that, maybe the Knicks aren't as for real as we thought. Right? Maybe they're not not there yet when it comes to the level of Cleveland and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Not just the win-loss record, but as far as them being able to make it a series, right? Maybe they're not at that level yet. So we'll see. We still got a lot of time for that. But you got to be able to win this game tonight. I'm sorry, I don't care who you don't have. Right. Shout out to Tony for wearing the orange and blue. Let's go Mets.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Great show, guys. And I agree with you, Josh. I think the Knicks losing 4, we might be saying, you know what? We might as well wait for Grimes because we ain't close. We ain't close at all. We might as well just wait and stay pat. Anyway, great show. If the Knicks are who we think they are, they win tonight. However you do it, just get a win. I have the Knicks going 2-2 this week, and I have them staying above the dotted line. Whether that's fifth or sixth, that is all that matters to me, is that they don't fall to 7th, only because I want to see this team guaranteed 4 games in the playoffs. And 7th seed is definitely favorable to make the playoffs. You get 2 opportunities, but I would prefer the sure thing. So, peace to everybody. Tomorrow I'll be doing my morning recap show. Anybody have anything going on this week? No?
Nah, just Losers Lounge
tonight on Nothing But Knicks, Tony's new show. You want to talk about what it's about, Tony?
We just highlight some comments from the losers community and Bleacher Report. See how they feeling about their team, how they feel about our team, how they feel about their loss.
Controversy this weekend with Phil Porto from Knicks Morning Brew. So stay tuned for that. All
right. Okay. And thanks for watching. Oh, sorry guys. I thought I had this on. Thanks for watching. If you like my content or you like the way I host, subscribe to Dope Soul Sports Talk, as well as this channel, Nothing But Knicks. Until next time, family. Peace.
Shave your face.